So welcome to Parents Gap Year. This is the video podcast so that you get to see who we are behind the scenes, those voices.
Face to the voice.
Yeah, which you're probably getting quite used to now at this stage.
Hopefully you've been listening to the Parents Gap Year podcast.
Yeah. Anyway, while we were away, we kept talking about certain things that became more and more important to us, didn't they? If you see Rod's hand going off screen, it's only because he's got to fiddle with a couple of...
I can do some wondrous things like...
Yeah, he's switching buttons, basically.
Have you there? And then there's me.
And that's you.
Me, and then there's back to us.
It's all remote. Amazing. This is where your videography skills really come into play. So we thought we would just share. We wanted to share the kind of things that happen behind the scenes, apart from what we've recorded, what became really, really important to us as we were away. And a bit of a sum up of highlights, lowlights, things like food.
Yeah.
What else?
Precious items that we have to travel with.
Yeah, precious items. And these, it's amazing the things that you really hold on to that are really, really important to you when you're traveling. So
for sure, there are certain items which I will never travel without now.
Absolutely, and I will. There are things that we kept saying, this is really important. We've got to do this. We've got to talk about this, because for anybody else who's thinking of traveling, like I'm sure some of you are thinking, I want to go off and have this trip of a lifetime, which everybody keeps saying back to us. For us, it's not really a trip of a lifetime. It's a trip of hopefully many trips of a lifetime, if we could pull it off. If we could pull it off. But anyway, so we're going to start with the highlights.
Highlights, indeed. I've got a few notes here, so...
We don't have matching notebooks.
I might have to put my glasses on to do this.
Look. Yours is smaller than mine.
Yeah,
that says everything about the two of us. Everything I have is bigger and heavier.
I get small and compact.
We'll talk about that later.
It's just the way to go.
Yeah.
Anyway, so shall we start with, if you've been listening to the podcast, you'll be aware of that we've been to quite a few countries, and we went to about 13 countries in total that we recorded for the podcast, and so there's definitely some highlights from all of those. So shall I kick off?
You can start. Yeah. What happened as the podcast became more of a thing, I kept handing the microphone to you, but that's a whole other story. So you can start, Rod.
I'll start then. Okay. So and you see if you agree with some of my highlights, or whether you have different ones. So I'm gonna start in Sardinia, where we went to Costa Paradiso.
Yeah.
And my highlight was Cosi possibly beach, which is the one where we climbed over the path and down to the beach on the other side.
Oh, interesting.
Had a little beach bar on it, and you saw.
It wasn't there. We went to another beach, which was a tiny
where we saw the octopus.
I didn't think so. Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, you see, we're already arguing with each other.
I wouldn't say arguing, just different memories.
I thought I saw the octopus when we were on that little cove that had the bench. Oh no, I'm in Sicily saying that, aren't I?
No, that's Sardinia.
Was it? Okay. Oh,
it's good, isn't it?
We're starting really, really well.
This is just number one. Anyway,
yeah. Okay.
So my highlight is Cosi Beach in Sardinia, in Costa Paradiso, where you saw the octopus swimming in the water, which was changing colour and being chased by other fish. That I thought was a magical place.
It was a totally, totally magical place. And the thing about Sardinia, as opposed to Sicily, is the rock formations were so exquisite. And we've seen that in other countries, but it just stood out so starkly. They were like sculptures. But that in itself was just a highlight for me, the visuals of the place.
Of the landscape.
And then, obviously, you will be aware, we swim a lot. We wear goggles. We don't necessarily snorkel, but we do lots of snorkeling as well.
Yeah.
But we do swim every day. And so to go to a cove where you can put your goggles on and see an octopus and see lots of amazing fish.
And the water was lovely and clear and
Yeah.
clean and warm.
Okay, so that's one massive highlight. So do I get
Yeah,
to
you
say
get
another
next. You
highlight?
get-
Okay.
let's go.
Obviously, sunsets, amazing sunsets everywhere. You do get a little bit tired after a while. And, just another sunset.
Never sick of a sunset.
No, I know. But so we saw loads of beautiful lakes, loads of sunsets, all that kind of thing. Favorite beaches, I had Costa Paradise, of course, but also in Cambodia. The nicest beach was Koh Rong for us, definitely. I think you're agreeing in that.
I'll agree with that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah, had sand-like
Powder.
flour. This texture of flour.
Yeah, it was absolutely beautiful, really clear, calm water. And I think it's also when you go to a place, because we were just feeling quite exhausted at that point, and I think that was a real switch off point. So for me, it's memories of that as well. Okay, over to you. What's your next highlight? I'm aware we
So
have a lot to
I'm
get
going
through.
in order.
Okay.
So next in Sicily, my highlight in Sicily was the Valley of the Temples, where we went at night. Do you remember we went there at night? And
Yes.
it's all the old, I presume they're Greek or Roman, I'll say Roman, temples
I think they were Roman.
that were lit up at night beautifully.
Yeah.
And I thought that was quite magical. And that was on Sicily.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, this ties into a low light, so I'm going to it was utterly beautiful, but it also coincided with my dad being very ill and not knowing whether he was going to pass away or not. So that is, yeah. So it was a highlight and a low light at the same time.
It was on that day, yes, when we were at the temples. Yeah.
Yeah. And also the amazing €1 town. That was quite something as well.
Yes, yeah. Well, we had to
Zambuca.
look for the properties of worth what was for sale for €1. Yeah,
Yeah.
The town of Zambuca. Great name for it. I've also got for Sicily.
Do you have a really? We haven't actually coincided our notes, and so Rod said, "I'm going to write mine."
I've written them in order of countries that we've
Have you? We'll
travelled
be here all
to.
day, though, won't we?
I've got a story to them all.
Oh my goodness. Okay, right. Carry on then.
Well, I mean, yeah. I was
There's
just going
a
to
lot
say,
of countries to get through.
I know, 13.
13.
I was also going to say in Sicily, the measures in the wine glass in the restaurants was rather favourable.
Much better than Sardinia.
Sardinia a bit mean, actually. It's in my low light. Sardinia kind of thing.
I agree with
Sicily, woohoo, big
That
measures.
made a massive difference, and big pizzas and very lovely food.
Yeah. Okay. Have you got another highlight?
Well, I'm not going in order.
Okay.
I'm going
well,
to
I
say
am, but don't worry, it's fine.
one of the amazing highlights for me was Phi Phi Island in Thailand. And I think the thing about it's again timing, where you're at a moment and arriving in a place that's so vibrant and full of energy. And that was an incredible place. The minute you got off the ferry, you just felt it. And it was hit by the tsunami 20 years ago. So obviously that is a big thing, and it comes into the podcast. But in terms of arriving in a place that had such a history and tragedy befall it, how it had pulled its socks up and really a fun place. And we arrived during Thai New Year. And that
it was Songkran, I think it's called, Thai New Year. Yeah. So what was lovely then was actually all the Thai families were also on holiday.
Yes.
And enjoying themselves, not just tourists.
Yeah.
No, it was great. I did think,
and we
Thai New
actually
Year
went going to a national park up in the mountains, which you had booked. And it's the only time on the trip that I dug my heels in and said, you know what? We're only 3 nights here. Are you telling me we're leaving on the day that Songkran is kicking off? And I kind of went, you know what, I really don't want to leave here. I love this place.
I did agree.
You did agree.
I did agree
So
very quickly to cancel stuff,
Yeah.
which we could still cancel. So
Yeah.
some places you can cancel in advance and get and you haven't paid anything. Others take your money early. Okay. So another highlight for me, and I would say I've got an Agora, was Singapore, just going to the Gardens by the Bay, which is an amazing sort of setup where they've got these sort of fake trees, which sounds terrible, but actually they're fantastic. Really tall, colourful structures, and then they light up all at night, and they play music, and they sort of, you know, dance with colours to the music. And we were there at Christmas, so they were playing sort of Christmas tunes.
And the botanical gardens there are out of this world.
They're in this sort of biodome, aren't
Yeah,
they? They were
super.
fantastic. They were like two of them in these big biodomes, and one was all full of tropical plants and orchids, and the other one was full of diversity of plants from all over the world.
Yeah.
And we did all of that in one day, and that was terrific, I thought. And then we went to Chinatown and got very drunk very quickly.
You might have heard that on the podcast as well.
And then tried to navigate the subway.
Yeah, the subways were amazing, and we do talk about that as well, and how the system works, and it's a very diverse place, which was really evident and really fun and vibrant because of it. I loved that about the place. I have to mention Ao Nang in Krabi, which again, I'm very drawn to these amazing landscapes and big rock formations. It's a stunning place around Riley Beach, all of those areas. It's, again, I also tend to love really happening places where there's lots of fun, sociability, lots of energy, shopping, loads of tat shops, but also some nice stuff. But yeah, I loved it.
Loads of good places to eat as
Yeah.
well. Yeah, well, yeah,
Was that on your
Thailand's
list?
on my list. Well, actually, it was before we got there. We went to Koh Samui before that, and we fed the elephants. That was terrific.
Another highlight.
I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
So we had to make up elephant balls for them
Yeah,
to
you got
eat.
a bit carried away with your balls, as you do, you know?
I don't know what I can say about that. But yeah, we had to make up food for the elephants.
You did.
Anyway, I thought that was
They're big
that
and
was
beautiful.
really nice to be able to.
And smaller
do
and
that.
not so freaky as African elephants, which was helpful for me. You might realise I'm very, very short, so anything that's a bit smaller is very helpful. Where else? Were you next? Elephant balls. Yeah, you're
That was
stuck
me,
in the balls.
yeah.
Okay. Philippines. We did lots and lots and lots of snorkel trips. You're probably bored of hearing how many boats we've been on. But
We've got a
Philippines,
stat for
Philippines was phenomenal for taking you right out of your comfort zone, doing stuff with deep water. I mean, some of the places we had to wear wetsuits, or not wetsuits, safety
buoyancy
aids. Thank goodness, actually, because you know, when you're in this environment, and especially lakes that are so deep that and the water is so clear, which is great, but it's also quite scary. And we can swim, but if you were anyway tentative about swimming without those buoyancy aids, you would have been absolutely freaked out, I think. But some amazing
I mean, the water
stuff.
was deep and clear, and it's sometimes really unnerving doing that.
Exactly.
But yeah, amazing landscape and lakes in the middle of islands and stuff like that.
And beautiful coral as well, the best coral we saw on our trip. Right, where else, mister?
Well, backtracking slightly, back to Laos, when we went on the slow boat down the Mekong River. That was an amazing time, and we met loads of other sort of travellers and locals on that boat, and that was just terrific. And we spent 2 days going down the Mekong River through all these gorges and tropical jungle right down to the lake and little villages and stuff like that. We stayed in a little village along the way. Well, in Laos also we went to those amazing waterfalls, which were near Luang Prabang, which is a lovely town in itself. And the waterfalls had this amazing sort of colour to them, and there were cascades and cascades of them.
Aquamarine,
Yeah.
absolutely beautiful. And Luang Prabang, of all the places, which is actually the poorest country that we went to in Southeast Asia.
In Laos, yeah.
It had the most amazing markets, and the two ladies, our lovely ladies who we were travelling with, Izzy and Sophie, bought phenomenal quality stuff in these markets. And that was, I didn't have any room in my bag. Everything I bought had to be tiny, that you could roll up and, you know, because I brought a heavy...
Top tip, don't fill your bag.
Don't fill your bag.
Leave it half empty for those fantastic things you meet along the way.
Yeah, we had 10K bags and a backpack, which I'm just going to show you while I'm here. This was the size of backpack I had, which also had my laptop, all my editing equipment, my hard drive, things like that, as well as, and it was the heaviest bag. You had a very light backpack.
But I had my hat in my backpack.
And your back support thing.
And my cushion for
your
my
cushion,
back.
Yeah.
And a few other things.
You did. And I
went lightweight. Yeah, I didn't take a computer. I just took my phone.
Yeah.
Phone was everything on this. Booked every flight, taxi, train, ferry, accommodation, some restaurants, just communication, photos, translation, all of that, navigation.
I know, amazing.
Get an eSIM so you've got data in each country you go to. Joy, all on an iPhone. Other phones are probably available, but
available. I just wanted to point out my bracelet, which was from a market in Luang Prabang. And
should I have a close up on that for you?
Yeah, do a close up of the little bracelet. I mean, this is we boiled down to very small items, obviously, when we were away. And this came from Laos, actually. That little bracelet, not the black one, but this tiny little thing.
Came from Laos. That one came from Bali.
That's right. Oh, I should have brought my other bracelet.
This one probably is from Bali, but I bought it in this country.
Probably.
Anyway, we digress.
Anyway, Laos, the slow boat, phenomenal. You will hopefully have heard that episode, and maybe not yet, but there is a bit of a surprise. I don't think we should share it in this.
It was going to be in one of my lowlights. So it's a spoiler, so we'll leave it.
It was quite a moment.
Okay. So another highlight I've got is in Cambodia as well, which was going to Angkor Wat at sunrise. We went to see the amazing Angkor Wat temple system, and we got a little tuk-tuk. Mr. Kun took us there, and we got
Don't mention the Kun word.
He was great. He was fantastic. He had cold drinks and ice cold towels because it was boiling hot, and we went before dawn and it was still amazingly hot. We went to a load of temples, but at sunrise at the Angkor Wat was pretty stunning. And then we bumped into some gibbons in the tree, and I fed one my emergency banana for when you get hangry have a banana, but I gave it to the gibbons that day.
Yeah.
And they loved it. So I got some lovely video and photos.
Yes.
Feeding the gibbons.
The difference between Rod and myself is that I had an emergency banana, but my emergency banana comes out quite early because I'm always hungry. And I kept asking you, would you like your banana? Because I think I was carrying it. And you went, no, it's fine. I'm fine. Okay. God, I've already eaten mine. I'm starving again. But then when we happened upon those gibbons, the guide was going, has anybody got a banana? So you whipped out your banana.
Gibbon liked it. That's right.
Yeah, the gibbon really liked it.
And later on after that, while we're in Angkor Wat, it was New Year's Eve, wasn't it? And so we ended up down the notorious pub street on New Year's Eve in Cambodia.
New Year of my life.
It was going off. It really was.
I can't resist showing off my bottle with the handle. So other bottles are available.
Close up?
But yeah, there you go. Amazing bottle for travelling, and metal. So I need that to clear my throat right now. Excuse me.
I have a water bottle as well, if we're on water bottle themes.
Yes, we may as well.
Might as well talk about the water bottle. Close up on this one. So mine, also metal. got water in it. But it's a thermos one. It's massive. I get that. Yeah, it is massive, and I've had to carry it around the world. But it gets a litre of water, and it stays cold.
Yeah.
And it's big enough to put ice cubes in as well. So I like the water chilled. So that saved me on many a hot day.
Yeah.
And you think, oh, that's a thing to have to carry around. That's a bit much. But a litre of water, you get through it pretty quick.
Yeah. I drink slightly less, and I don't like my water really, really cold. So for me, it was too heavy. I had enough heavy things to carry. That was the heaviest thing you brought with you.
It was the
actually.
heaviest thing I had
Yeah.
was my water. Okay, so have you got another highlight? I've got a whole few more.
Oh my goodness. I just want to say that the most important highlight for me personally was basically meeting the most amazing people in the various countries that we went to. And it wasn't the people we necessarily, only the people we necessarily met while we were traveling. It was the people on the ground doing the various jobs that they were doing, sharing the stories that they were sharing, getting under the skin of a place and really understanding how people tick and how actually, dare I say, how grateful they were that we actually spoke to them as people and really asked them questions about their lives. And what we found is that people really wanted to share their stories. And that was, for me, that was the massive, massive highlight of the whole trip.
Yeah.
Apart from every amazing adventurous thing that we did and all the underwater stuff and the people, our friends or family who came out to see us or that we saw when we were away, it was that whole thing of meeting so many diverse people from across the world who were either having a blast of a time themselves because they were traveling, or there were people on the ground doing the jobs that facilitated us to have an amazing time. So that for me was the major highlight.
Yeah, we tried not just to talk to tourists and travellers.
Yeah.
Actually, a bit, but we really always tried to talk to someone who was local from the country and get their point of view, because I thought that was really important.
Yeah. So you've a longer list.
Okay, well, I'll
He's
go.
got something longer than I.
I'll talk about. So we went to Australia, and obviously met my sister Vicky there, who I hadn't seen in Australia for many years, 20, 25 years or so. So that was lovely to be able to go and see her.
And Lottie, your other
and
one.
my other sister,
in Sydney.
Stepsister
Yeah,
there as
fantastic.
well. Yeah. And we all went with Vicky and a load of her friends to Tasmania. Now that was just a highlight to me. The whole of Tasmania was amazing because we were cooking on barbecue and getting fresh seafood off the beach, mussels and oysters and stuff like that. Not that we particularly like oysters, but yeah.
We definitely don't like.
But we went to a
oysters.
place called Mona Gallery, which is modern and old art gallery, Mona, and it's in Hobart. Hobart's quite a funky town. And this gallery is built into an island underground, carved out into the rock. And it's just stunning. It's cavernous, and there's a huge amount of varied, really interesting and sort of diverse art. It's a highlight.
A highlight.
A highlight, as was Australia. I felt going to the Peninsula Hot Springs, which was in south, near Melbourne, down on the Mornington Peninsula, and they were pretty terrific, weren't they?
We love a hot spring.
We do like a bit of hot water.
We love a hot spring. You can't not love a hot spring. And even though it's a hot country, we went in the evening. That was a very good decision because the weather is obviously very hot, and then to be in a hot spring. So we did quite a few. We did some in New Zealand. We did one in Philippines,
that was the
which
hottest.
was so hot. And in Japan, in the onsens, they're not outdoors, but my goodness, some of them are 43 degrees. So we've been in various types of bathing opportunities along the way, and we all love a bit of water, and that's for sure. We learned that, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. we're water babies. So carry on, Rod. Your list is getting extensive.
I know. I thought about this. So New Zealand we went to after that, and that was terrific to drive. I thought driving around the South Island was just a highlight in itself. Everywhere we went, the kind of landscape was breathtaking, and the lakes were amazing, and they're different colours, and they're kind of vast. And then Milford Sound, which is this sort of fjord where we saw dolphins and seals. Yeah.
They were literally just like they were sunbathing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, no, that was great, I thought, yeah.
Just going back to Australia and Tasmania, the wildlife was awesome. You know, you'd see a wombat going down the road. You don't see those very often. Wallabies, 2 a penny. Rabbits.
Loads of wallabies.
Pigeons. Oh, no, not pigeons. What were they? Those, the ones with the beaks.
Oh, echidnas. And then, wallabies everywhere. And quolls, which are a strange sort of stoat type thing.
Yeah, amazing. And Vicky was very excited because she's lived in Australia for over 25 years. In fact, about 28 years or 30 years. And she has never seen a live quoll. And we happened to see one when we were in Tasmania. In Bruny Island. So, where else do you want to go?
Where next? Well, Bali was next on my my highlights list. We met our son Sam in Bali, so that was obviously a highlight seeing him. But just the buildings in Bali, the design of them, I thought was fantastic. It's all wood, and it's not. Thailand is a lot of wood and gold, but in Bali it's sort of wood and paint and dragons and stuff.
And we saw a lot of their temples being constructed as well. You know, so you didn't just see the old. They aged to this black sort of stone, but we saw one literally being built. So they're carrying on with this tradition. And it's kind of clear white when it starts,
totally white.
It's
like
a plaster.
Over time.
Yeah. So that was amazing. I agree with you. And also, I have to say, because I love clothes, the women in Bali, how they dressed was really beautiful. In fact, there was a festival going on, so it might have been slightly traditional kind of costumes that they were wearing, but these really long, tight skirts, very elegant, with these little blouses that were figure-hugging and just very classic and very feminine and very pretty, and lovely colours.
The whole Bali style was lovely. Yeah.
And then riding pillion on the motorbikes.
They would be
because they had to, because they couldn't get the leg over, because basically they had the long skirt on. Yeah.
So a few other highlights was in Indonesia. We went to the Gili Islands. We went swimming with the turtles. That was terrific. Saw about 8 turtles in a day, didn't we? We were a bit spoiled.
Oh, he's just trying to kind of outbid me on the turtle front. Can I just say that you did? Excuse me.
We saw about 8 turtles.
We did.
I'm sure.
No, you came back to me after I spent time. I mean, I built a relationship with the turtle. Let's face it.
Did you now?
I absolutely did. I was there for half an hour with one turtle, and I felt like I was really part of that. I was the only person there. So while Rod was doing the numbers, counting how many turtles he'd seen on the day, and he was, I've seen 4 there and 5, and we were just, there. And I was going, but you didn't spend time with the turtle. So I feel like I kind of, quality.
You bonded with your turtle.
Quality over quantity. And that's the kind of girl I am. Anyway, why did I marry you then? I'm sorry.
That's for a whole nother podcast.
That is. Oh, look. It's getting into happy hour now because it's late in the afternoon when we're doing this, and the sugar hit is.
We're about halfway through.
We're halfway through. Exactly. I have to say, obviously, the highlight for me being in Philippines was being with my sister.
Yeah.
So you can carry on, but all of the backdrop of that had my amazing sister Pam with me, so that really, really made it a very special experience.
Yeah, most places we went, we met someone we knew, or saw a bit of family, or people met us. It was nice.
Or we happened to meet some brilliant people that we hung out with, like our Kiwi.
If we didn't have some friends, we made some.
Our 2 Kiwi friends in Siem Reap who were phenomenal fun.
So a couple of the highlights. For me, I went scuba diving in the Philippines, and that was terrific. So the water was great, the fish life was great, the coral was great. And they have wrecks there, some from sort of World War II, and other wrecks that they've kind of sunk onto the reef to make a diving kind of experience. Yeah. And they've made them all safe. All the wrecks that you dive on, they've taken all the engines and oil and all that stuff that might pollute. Sometimes they even take the paint off before they sink them and make it safe for diving and safe for the environment, which is really good. And we all went swimming with the whale sharks as well.
Undoubtedly, that was a massive highlight. They're enormous. Talk about big fish, the biggest fish you could possibly see in the world. Huge. There is all the ethical concerns about it, but apparently a Korean person told someone, having spotted a whale shark, only in 2012, I think, had spotted a whale shark on this coast and said, if you feed that whale shark, there'll be more and more come. And over time, more and more have come. And there's a huge amount of them. Now, there is ethics attached to that, but there is an industry that has built up around it. But to be facing something so vastly big...
They're about 4 metres long, but they only eat plankton.
Yeah, so they don't eat little people like me, which thankfully... They were throwing them... What were they throwing them in the feed?
Sort of tiny shrimp, I suppose. I say plankton, I mean
so they do actually eat
sea life,
little fish, Anyway, that was an amazing experience and totally almost freaky, but also...
Was quite freaky being with such a big creature in the water.
And
you're allowed to get a couple of metres from them. It's pretty intense. The Philippines was pretty terrific, I have to say. It was slightly harder to travel around, but well worth it when you got places.
Definitely.
And less touristy than some places. Then we went to Japan. There was a few highlights in Japan as well. For me, I thought we were in Tokyo, which is a massive city. I'm not wild about big cities, but we went to a digital art exhibition called Borderless. And it was, you see the photos and the video, but it was on the Instagram account. But we've got an amazing space full of like projectors in the roof, and it projects stuff onto the walls and the floor, which are sensitive to touch. So you touch the walls and the imagery would change or shatter or move on, and the floor knew where you were, and stuff came to you while you stood on the floor and swirled around you and things like this. And the whole exhibition moved from one room into another, and there was another room full of smoke and holograms, and it was just really good to see a sort of state-of-the-art kind of digital art going on. I thought it was good compared to Mona, which was very much physical art.
Yeah, that's true. And it was an awesome experience because every room had a completely different thing to do and a completely different effect on you. And you know, these bottomless floors almost, where they're mirrored all around you, and this incredible, and you're going, and they actually have to have guides to make sure that you...
Well, we couldn't get out of the room. There's one room, a mirrored floor, mirrored ceiling,
exactly,
and was circular, and mirrored walls, and hanging in it were mirrored
baubles
that lit up when you went near them. Big baubles, and it's quite disorientating.
It is.
And then you had to find the guide to be able to find the mirrored door to open to let you out again.
We did actually see one man go splat into a window.
Yes, he walked straight into a mirror, but he walked into himself.
Anyway, a fantastic event. So in Japan, the onsens, the traditional hotels are quite a thing in Japan, and the hot springs, and Ito was one of the areas, and it's got volcanic hot springs. It's a sort of seaside town, but staying in a traditional hotel, which we're so lucky to do that for 3 days. We were in our kimonos.
Wrapped in our kimonos, and the onsen, the hot springs, are in the basement. And I think they build the hotel around the hot spring, and some people have their houses built around the hot spring. And you could just go down into those, but you had to be totally naked in the hot springs, so avert your eyes. Apart from, you did get a little flannel
if you wanted to.
And the flannel was not like you think, was actually for putting wet cold water on your head to keep your head cool,
or hiding your modesty,
or a little bit of modesty control
if you wanted. But they were biological sex segregated, that is all I can say. Very clearly and separated. So ne'er the twain shall meet.
So I never saw you in the hot springs.
No, No, I heard you laughing sometimes.
Yeah, there's a sort of big fence between us. We get on the outside bit. The other highlight of in Kyoto, there's two highlights I've got left for Japan, and that's the end of my highlights list. One was the Kyoto restaurants, and in Kyoto they have lots of little sort of restaurants, all independently owned in the old neighbourhood, all made of wood and tiny little streets, and the restaurants only seat 10 to 20 people. And you sit around the kitchen and there's a small menu and you order what you like and they cook it, and when it's ready, it comes to you with a bit of sake, a bit of beer. They were just so much fun. They were a real experience, eating out experience sort of thing.
Phenomenal. Yeah. So the food, everybody talks about Japan and they talk about food, and you've got to experience the food. It's how they cook. We watched a guy in a pizza restaurant, and honestly, he was so concentrated. It was incredible to watch the art of making this pizza.
We did eat pizza in Japan.
We did. Can I say that? We actually ate pizza in Japan. I can't believe I am saying this. But at the end of the day, it was the skill of this person and how he was cooking. And it was like a dance. It was like watching someone move in a particular way. He had everything down to fine art. He was putting a rhythm into what he was doing. So everywhere we went, we saw this art form. So this obviously, you're spilling over into food, and I had Japan.
I thought that was segueing quite nicely into food.
It is very beautifully, because food obviously is a big thing. And I would say of all the places we went to, apart from Tasmania being with the foodie crew, Japan was the food place for us, wasn't it?
Kyoto particularly. Well, no, in Tokyo as well.
Yes, phenomenal food quality, experience. And in Ito, where we had our banquet breakfast, which you will see the videos and photos of while we're in our kimonos, out of the 3 days, 2 of them were fantastic. 1 of them was absolutely gross, and I think that was the day we recorded.
That was the day that we actually filmed it, and I think my quote was chewy, salty, fishy for breakfast. Regarding food, I mean, just some highlights of food really. Sicily was fantastic for pizzas, as you would hope. Thailand, fantastic for its spicy food. And,
although you got a bit of a dicky tummy.
Yeah, that's in my low light.
I was going to say Lao.
Lao was
curry.
Surprisingly amazing for food.
Yes.
Because of the French influence, the flavours were garlic and ginger. And in Lao, we were surprised to find, because of the French influence, sort of French patisseries where they had baguettes and croissants and stuff like that.
Beautiful.
It's amazing.
You really miss bread when you're in Southeast Asia. So if you find a bakery, you just think all your birthdays have come together. Yeah, I would say, food. You hit all the places I was going to say.
And Australia was really fresh food, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
Because they grow a lot
quality.
of stuff there. The flavour of the fresh food and fruit and veg that they had, I thought was amazing. And Bali was, I've just got mangoes written down for Bali, because their fruit was just fantastic.
And Lao, I would say as well.
Yeah.
Rod, I think we need to.
We did do a cookery course in Thailand as well, and that was quite a lot of fun.
It was, but we really need to go on to our top tips, and I just have to show a few.
One other highlight.
Yeah.
Was after we've dealt with food, was the Japanese toilets.
Yes, they'll hear all about that in the podcast. Just save it for listening.
Yeah. It's worth a listen.
I still have a hot bum thinking about it. Right, so top tips. This is the bit that we have been talking about quite a lot, actually, while we were away, going, well, what would we say? What was the most important thing to us while we were away?
Vital items to travel with, or essentials that we feel.
So this is obviously very personal. It is our top tips, not anybody else's, for the precious items that were really, really important to us as we travelled, because it meant something to us. And so one of the things we have a little, we've got down the side, we've got lots of little props.
We've done the water bottles. So we mentioned the water bottles are vital, obviously, for travelling. I'll have a little drink now, I think.
So one, I am going to produce. This looks like an odd item, but it's my skipping rope, and you will see me skipping because that was one form of exercise apart from swimming. Swimming was obviously the most important form of exercise for me, but skipping was also something I did quite regularly where I could.
There's a video of that somewhere.
There absolutely is. I got Rod to video it because I thought skipping across the world, I mean, I absolutely
looked
did
a bit
this.
like a sort of Japanese weapon, potentially. You were stopped in an airport with
I
those
was,
at one point,
and
weren't you?
oddly, I think it was New Zealand, and I was going, she was going to take it away. I was pulled over and she was going to take my skipping rope, and I said, you cannot. I've been exercising across the world with this. This is a prop, you know, this is a really important prop for me. And she then had to ask her supervisor, and her supervisor okayed it, because if you bring the weighted skipping ropes, which are obviously much better for your fitness, they would be taken off you, but this one wasn't.
They're very
it's
light,
not.
aren't they?
Yeah.
They're very light.
Okay, I have to do this because
Okay,
vanity became a very important. I'm going to. I have to. I swore I wasn't going to show the name of. Anyway,
I'm sure you get away with a second here or there.
for women of a certain age, okay, I will confess I dye my hair. So, and I dye just my roots. Anyway, I had a little kit with me. I'm just going to show you the kind of things I brought. There's my afro comb. This is genius.
Close up.
Close up. Little. Ooh. Woohoo! Excellent, because it packs down really small. And this was my little mixing bowl for my hair dye. And this, again, all very narrow and very neat, very easy to pack. That was for mixing my hair dye. And then little plastic gloves, we all know about those. And then all the other accoutrements that are in my...
Which is big enough, which is
Yeah.
small enough to be able to travel as a liquid.
Yeah. Now, the thing is, obviously, we were away for 6 months. So I was never going to be able to bring 6 months' supply with me. So I brought enough to survive the first, I would say, 6-8 weeks. And then luckily we were in a country that I could buy the product that I use, which other products are available. But it was really, really important to me to use what I know. So, okay, top tip. Have you anything else?
Well, regarding hair, I suppose.
Okay.
I mean, I just cut my own hair with my beard trimmer. So tiny little battery-powered beard trimmer, trim a bit and trim my hair.
That's right.
Simple when you've got a haircut like this.
Okay,
though,
I've got a few
what
other
else you got
things down
there,
here.
Anne-Marie?
Right, scissors. You can't really travel with scissors.
No.
This is quite useful if you need, you're going to need something to repair at some point. Now, red might not be your colour, but that's thread. But we did bring a scissors, and it was okayed, this scissors, because it's got blunt edges to it, or tips, and that is a nose hair scissors. So top tip, if you need to cut your toenails while you're away, make sure you have a nasal hair scissors. It does work.
Works for your nose as well.
Yeah. Oh, this is super, super, super important. Okay, with me came the most important thing, bum bag, okay? Now, in that bum bag, it's leather, it's very robust. Oh yeah, and that's my nuts. I always bring a little box of nuts everywhere with me. In this is this is something I should have brought with me. This is called a wind shield, okay? I forgot my wind shield for recording
for the audio
podcast.
recording. So what did you have instead then, Anne-Marie?
Out of my bag of many tricks, right, that is for my recorder.
That's the handle.
Yeah. And this was my windshield, which is basically a sock. That was a genius idea from you.
Clean.
And this is the recorder. So in order to record the podcast, this is all I used, basically.
Take it out of the bag.
Yeah.
Quickly.
Very quickly.
So headphones and a little recorder like that.
Yeah.
Stereo
very small.
microphone, and should have a windsock on the top, but we just had a sock.
The sock. Yeah. And also that was a little tripod. So this all fitted into my bum bag, as well as my phone, and as well as, and this is important, there's my lip gloss, my little purse for any coins, a very handy one that you can just do, and you had one of those as well. Noise cancelling headphones.
Well,
Honestly,
if anything is going to take with you, I know they're expensive, but noise cancelling earpods, tiny, so much good sleep.
yes,
You got so much good sleep.
The
If
best.
you've got noisy neighbours, chickens in the morning, dogs barking, airplanes taking off, all those sort of things, pop those in, it cancels it out.
definitely.
You can sleep on a plane. On some of the boats with really noisy engines, you can just put those in. They're just essential, worth their weight in gold. Tiny.
Yeah.
And
Robust.
you can link them to your iPhone, so if you do lose them, you can track them.
Yeah.
So yeah, really good.
This is for bites. So that fit, as well as my lippy, that was
Don't
really
mix them up.
yeah, that was really important. Or you have another solution, Tiger Balm. Yeah. That actually covers everything. So it covers bites as well as
You can buy this anywhere in Asia, really,
yeah,
can't you?
really cheap. And also the great thing about that, your feet get really hot at night. So a bit of moisturiser and some
Takes me
Tiger
back
Balm.
straight away, smelling that.
Yeah, that cools your feet down.
Cools anything down if you rub it on. Good for bites and anything that's kind of, or ailments, many ailments.
That's right.
Have a smell. Oh, it takes us
Gorgeous.
straight back to Asia.
Absolutely.
Okay, so
What else?
I've got a few things down here. The essentials for any early morning is the upgraded version. This is, which is our cafetiere for coffee. This one is a flask, so it keeps it hot, and indestructible. Won't be too noisy with it. Made of stainless steel. The original one that we took with us.
Yeah. It's a bit of a low light, that one, and we are going to get on to low lights, but it was
Brief.
breaking the glass. I put it in the sink.
We had a glass version of these.
Oh my goodness. If I wasn't divorced on this trip, this was a divorceable offence.
It was near the end of the trip, but
It
breaking the
was.
cafetiere
And
was...
And someone had only commented on how clever you are that you've got a glass,
It was a kiss of death, wasn't it?
cafetiere, and that was it. As soon as they mentioned that's a good
Top
idea.
tip. If you like your coffee,
Yeah,
that's amazing. And you can buy fresh ground coffee anywhere in the world. And some countries are better than others. Some countries are great. Laos, Cambodia, places like that. Amazing local coffee. Okay, other things that I've got. To keep the good times rolling along, slightly bigger, there are smaller versions of these as well. Bluetooth speaker, linked to your phone, and you can play all your funky tunes day and night, and without your headphones, and you can both join in. And then to keep the spice alive, some chili sauce if the food isn't spicy enough for you already. This bottle, we actually took a bottle of a well-known one beginning with T, Tabasco, because it's smaller and easier to travel with, whereas this one's a bit too big, won't get on the airline flight, but I thought I'd just show this one in any case.
made a big difference. Just if you do have to bring a laptop, I just recommend that it has to be a little soft case like this. So my laptop was in there for putting my mouse on. I can put there's my mouse, there's my Kindle or e-reader. Other e-readers are available. Spare bank cards if you needed those, but we used Monzo and Revolut all the time, all on our phones.
A
but
lot
if you
of
needed something,
your cards can be on your phone. Apple Pay is widely available in many countries. In other countries, only cash. So you have to get back to the old time, have your card, get the cash out of the ATM. In Laos, we were getting out millions of, I've forgotten my currency actually. What was the currency?
well, we were millionaires.
We were millionaires every day, and
Every
spending
day.
millions as well.
Felt very good.
Okay, so that's our precious thing. We've got a few minutes left if we're just going to try and make
Is there
this
anything
an hour.
else?
So exercise, we've talked about that a bit. You're skipping and us swimming.
Oh yes, I just want to show, if you have long hair, and not everybody will, sorry, I keep having the vanity things. My hairdresser suggested this. It's a wig cap that you can put on under your hair cap.
So sexy
Your
wearing that.
swim hat. And that was actually really, really helpful for protecting my hair.
From
and
your hair
not
dye.
pulling it out of...
From
and
your
then
hair
my
dye
goggles.
getting rinsed.
Yeah, and this little zippy bag, which you get in whenever you buy a swimsuit, that's what it comes in. And I will also show, because I protected my back from getting burnt when I was swimming. And you can get swimsuits that basically are like a... it's an all-in-one.
Like a rash vest.
Yeah, it's
and
like a rash
we
vest.
took rash vests for snorkeling, particularly when you're out snorkeling for hours and the sun's beating down on you and you don't want to put sun cream on, it pollutes the water.
Yeah.
Put a rash vest on. Some places won't let you put sun cream on because it pollutes the water.
Yeah, so they're all the top tips.
So we
What
also,
else?
top tip sarongs that we've got hanging up behind us here, that we sort of bought along the way. They're really light, dry really quickly, easier than carrying a towel. Use it for the beach, use it for shade, use it for drying yourself, a dress,
sometimes,
modesty, whatever. You know, it's really helpful. Just a sarong, light, packs down to nothing, and also a cotton bag, tote bags. Sort of, we just use them for sort of beach bags, shopping bags, all that sort of stuff.
You could
really
fit so much
really
into things
handy.
like that, you know.
Yeah.
I forgot to bring my cushion. My cushion, you know the ones you get on a plane and you put them around your neck. Mine has a little button on it. So that when I'm on a beach, I will always bring that with me as well. And I'll use that to prop up my neck. So I've got a pillow with me everywhere I go, as well as my sarong to lie on. It's a top tip. If you like to cushion your neck, bring one of those. Make sure it has a button.
Why the button?
Because it closes it, so it's not this open kind of sausage thing.
So it's easier to pack down.
Easier to pack down, but you can also attach it to your backpack, you know, and also when you want to lie and make it like a pillow, it basically closes.
Or if there's lousy pillows where you go, you've got a bit of a pillow.
And I use that, and it props up my e-reader during the night. So multi-use. I still use it at home every single day.
Okay, we're up to an hour. Do we want to mention low lights? Because we did say it's warts and all.
I mean, to be honest, the lowest light, and you will...
We'll quickly do low lights.
Yeah, it was obviously my father
passing.
passing away when we were away, and that was like a massive shock. And we do need to say that will happen, not that, but things will happen when you're away. If you're going on an extended trip, so you almost need to be mentally prepared. And I think I was mentally prepared for that, thankfully. So I think that's something to bear in mind. Our cat, I'm not going to say all the things, but you know, there were some things that happened that really upset us. So they are the things that if you get on with each other as people, and that's really important. You learn a lot about that, whether you get on with your nearest and dearest, and actually, luckily.
Yeah, and looking after each other when we get ill. Thankfully, we didn't get ill much. I mean, I just had the one bout of the shits.
Everybody knows about that.
I mean,
I've recorded. No, I didn't record it.
It was not very pleasant for a couple of days, but get some medication and you can get through it.
And it's kind of expected.
They're readily available in
something
in
we
the
didn't
chemists.
mention. Oh, have you any other lowlights that you want to
No, I mean, I was just going to say the spiders in Australia, the bed bugs in Cambodia, the no fish fishing trip.
Starving, yeah.
The traffic in Palermo, that was pretty hairy.
And Phnom Penh.
And Phnom Penh,
really hairy, very scary.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, some of the tuk-tuk rides were pretty hairy, and some of them were amazing.
I have to say because I don't think we've any low lights. We did have a camping trip where things weren't
just bad weather, wasn't it?
Just bad weather. However, I would say another top tip that we forgot to mention, which is really, really important, is how you manage it financially. And one of the things was getting lodgers. If you are in a position that you can do that, you want to have your household bills looked after, and that can help a lot. The other thing...
So get some trusting people to rent a room or something like that in your house, look after your pets.
Yes.
And it means that you're kind of, your bills are paid, not eating into your travel budget.
Yeah.
Really helpful. And...
the major coup was the house swap. If you're going to a country that's very expensive, like we were, to stay, apart from having family to stay with and a friend to stay with, we also had a house swap, which was significant. And they'd come to our house simultaneously. So that really, really helped us. So we had a whole month of free accommodation. So if there's any of you who are joining anything to do with house swapping, I would say that's a fantastic tip.
Yeah, there's several websites out there that you can do house swapping on. There's obviously a fair amount of trust involved, and normally it's simultaneous. But this one was non-simultaneous, so they were in our house at one point and when we were away, and without the lodgers. But it saved us a lot. That was in Australia. It was very costly accommodation in Australia, and that was fantastic and worked out for both of us really well. Yeah. Both sets.
That is a major, major top tip. I think, though, all I can say is it was phenomenal. I would never, ever pass up an opportunity to do something like this at a certain time of your life, if you can.
Yeah.
And
we were lucky that we have jobs that allowed us to take a sabbatical
and to come back to jobs.
To come back. So that was helpful as well.
Yeah, I think we're just lucky, and we are aware that lots of people are not in a position to be able to do this, and but there are ways that we did it by cutting the expenses down as much as we possibly could. And so if you've got...
Try and travel light, then you're not paying for baggage on airlines and stuff like that. So I mean, I had a bad back, so I was going to travel as light as I could. Wasn't going to carry your suitcase. You had to carry your own, didn't you?
I know, and I regretted the amount of stuff I brought with me. I think every traveller says the same.
If you're going somewhere hot, you need less clothes than you think. Yeah.
And I would honestly say, and I think this is really, really important, do try and get those smaller bags, the 7K bags. We brought the 10 kg bags, and they were too big because we were often penalised with some of the airlines. So I would say if you can bring a smaller bag and a small backpack, it's plenty, and you always think you need more than you actually do in reality. And
talking of which, we've got flights and things, got a few stats.
Off we go. Do you want to mention how many?
Yeah, I mean, it's slightly frightening, actually. We did 30 flights. So that's where a fair amount of the cost came in. And a lot of them were little island hop flights, but some of them were obviously further. So we did 30 flights. You can have a guess how many boats we might have had. We started off saying Amory didn't really like boats on the podcast.
I'm looking over your shoulder. How many boats? Oh, he's written down 38 boats.
38 boats and ferries and snorkel trips. So 38 boats we got you on, not being a boat lover.
I am a boat lover, but I'm a seasick boat lover, so I have to look after myself. So Quells or any kind of seasickness tablets are very helpful. However, some of them absolutely knock you out, and when you go to Thailand they give you these little yellow pills.
The seasickness pills are like sleeping pills.
You love them, because when we were going on a long boat trip you were just asleep for
or on a long plane.
Bus ride.
But they don't work for everybody. Careful with medication. Other things, 30 odd buses. To be honest, I've lost count of how many buses we went on. At least 25 trains or metros. Tuk-tuks. I did lose count of how many tuk-tuks we went on, but I've got at least 65 tuk-tuks.
My goodness, love tuk-tuks. Absolutely love them. They are such fun.
We're so scared on some of them.
Oh, well, in Phnom Penh, where I was nearly getting killed every time.
That was pretty mad.
There are limits, and Philippines at times, but honestly, the electric ones in Boracay were phenomenal.
In the Philippines, yes, absolutely. They'd gone electric, which was terrific. Taxis and hotel transfer,
a lot
of those as well, More interestingly, 3 bicycle rides, 3 kayak trips, 1 jet ski, that was me.
That was you.
That was my Christmas trip to myself. 1 cable car.
Only one?
Up and down. That was up in New Zealand.
Okay.
At least, can you remember another?
I can't off the top of my head, but...
And 2 trips on a horse and cart.
Yeah, the horse, bless him, one of the horses gave up.
I didn't count that one.
Oh yeah,
I didn't count that one.
It couldn't carry the baggage.
They turned up with a tiny little horse.
Goodness,
that was not right.
Horrible.
That was not right.
Anyway, is that it?
That's my stats.
That's the stats. Chocolate. Yeah, bring some chocolate and nuts on your set off, and you'll find some great chocolate along the way. Bali has beautiful chocolate.
Yes, a lot of countries have great chocolate and
dark
coffee.
Chocolate.
Yeah, which was fabulous.
All right. I think
I hope some of that's useful.
Is it
and entertaining.
Hopefully.
So don't forget to listen to the podcast if you haven't listened to it already, or listen to some more. There's many episodes, a couple of seasons, and it's good fun. It's a lot of really fantastic people we meet, and some of the things we do are pretty amazing as well. And there's an Instagram page as well that's run concurrently with this, that you can see the photos and the videos on as well. So, that gives you...
links to a Facebook page as well.
Yeah.
So I hope once you listen, if you haven't listened already, that you come along for the ride. It was very important to us that it wasn't just going to be serious, and it wasn't going to be about us. Obviously, we are the people who set it up, and of course, but we really, really wanted to engage with people on a completely different level. That was super important to us, and we just met so many brilliant, brilliant characters along the way, apart from the people we know who were there. So I hope you enjoy that element of it, and we just want to keep going. So do listen, share with everybody, anybody who you think would love to be traveling. And some people can't travel, and we're super aware of that, but you can travel vicariously. And I listened to quite a lot of travel stuff when I was in lockdown, like a lot of people. And so you can come on the trip with us regardless of whether you can do it yourselves, and hopefully we're going to inspire some people to go. It is a great thing to do if you get the time and you have the funds and you save up like we did, and just go for it if you can save, because not everybody can.
Don't have to go for a long trip. Any type of travel is just really beneficial for the mind, body and soul. And, it's a beautiful world out there, apart from some of the plastic.
Yeah, that
everywhere.
was the big one.
Go for it. Go and see stuff while you can, while it's there.
And it doesn't have to be a long trip. It can be a couple of weeks, and you just do some extraordinary things in those weeks. If you can do it, do it. So we're going to say goodbye.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Keep listening to the podcast, please, because, we're loving it. Hopefully you're loving it too.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Say goodbye. Bye.